guy said the line that stuck out to me that motherfucker said was, "I'm not a podiatrist or a pedophile."
I'm no podiatrist, nor am I a pedophile. But those joints, they have too much of a fold in them.
What?
Hello and welcome back to the 91st episode of Good Bad or Bad show about terrible movies and tell you if you should too. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Chilgo, the other host, Mr. Kyle, in the quantum physics shirt. Available at tpublic.com. Just search Good Bad or Bad. You can get your own quantum physics shirt or baby onesie or whatever you want. This movie we watched for today, I've
been waiting to do a Gary Daniels film for quite some time.
I didn't know this. I didn't know who Gary Daniels was.
He's basically, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
But English.
Yes.
And even slightly less charismatic.
English. Yes. I thought he was Australian.
I thought he was Australian too.
Isn't that an Australian accent he's doing?
The drugs in the dolls were fake. It's got something to do with the shipment in the harbour and the ice factory.
I think maybe he was raised in Australia, but he was born in England.
Okay. Because I swear that's an Australian accent he's doing in this movie. At least it sounds like it.
And
I could be crazy.
Hope you are ready for high-waisted belts, Brian.
Oh, so we've had a run of modern movies for the last few episodes, and we're back to some good 90s. This is 91, I think. Yeah. Schlock, a kung fu martial arts masterpiece. The movie is Capital Punishment.
It's such a bad title.
It's such a bad title, and it's all sense. For one stupid joke at the end of the movie. It's all set up for one dumb joke. I don't even go. Whatever.
But it has all the usual suspects when it comes to.
Oh yeah, we have.
It's got Mel Novak. It's got David Carradine.
Yep.
It's got Scott Shaw.
Scott fucking Shaw's in this movie for like 3 scenes. And just very anticlimactically dies. Yes. That was very disappointing. But yeah, so it's a martial arts film starring Gary Daniels, as you said, written and directed by David Huey. Now, this is my first note I had, is that in the credits for this movie, he's credited as David Huey, H-U-E.
Yes.
On IMDb and everywhere else, it's H-U-E-Y. What?
I have no clue. Maybe it was just like, 3 letters. That's one fewer than 4. So
maybe he saw this movie when he got done and he didn't want his actual name on it. And he's like, when he was like filling out the paperwork for the credits, or when he was building the credits himself, he was like, leave that Y off there.
You just put down Dave.
Yeah, just put down Dave Hugh. That's it. Yep. So yeah, this movie's a nightmare. I don't know what happened.
So incomprehensible.
This is the most incomprehensible movie we've watched since maybe Billy Owen.
Your soul was lost in the river!
In terms of, and maybe more incomprehensible than that, partially it's exacerbated by the fact that you can't fucking hear anything anybody says.
Who the hell is Crawford and Dover?
I don't know. I'm the only one on assignment.
Where's my wife?
Dave?
The audio is fucked.
The audio's fucked. We watched it on YouTube. I assume that's like the normal master of it. It looks like it is. It's kind of low quality. You can see there's some moments where like the video.
Well, it was like the weird thing was it was solid film because it's got that little reel connectors up in the upper right hand corner.
Yeah.
Well, it's that converted to VHS. Converted to DVD.
Yeah, and then ripped and put online. Yeah, it's so I don't think it's the quality though. It's literally the audio is like the music is always louder than the people talking, or at least playing over them talking.
I love you. But you have to stop the fighting. I need you. Your child needs you.
Half the time the ADR is like really quiet and muddled, and like the opening scene, David Carradine is like mumbling words through a cigarette, and I was like, what is he saying? I can't.
We're not sure James Thayer is showing up tonight, so don't blow your cover until you confirm it.
I can't understand anybody in this movie.
He was brought into this film and he could not give a shit less about this.
No, his stuff was absolutely, you can tell what it is they shot the movie, they edited it, and then they got done and they're like, we got to add some connective tissue, because how does the person get from point A to point B or know about this? So it's just David Carradine sitting in a room at a desk with a phone going, yeah, go here and get him. Okay. And then it cuts. And then
they have blinds constantly. They have shadow of blinds all over the place in this film.
And I mean, you can tell they're inserted because it's hard cuts from scenes where music is playing, and then his shit just like inserts itself into the movie. It's just like there's like a romance scene and music playing, and then it just hard cuts and David Carradine's on the phone like,
Yeah, our guy spotted Thayer in an alley downtown.
okay, gotta do this now. And it's like, it's wild. Mel Novak, this is 1991, looks 60 years old in this movie. How old is he in real life?
I think he's nearly 80.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. I guess that tracks, because he looks old in this movie, and then he looks, as we saw in Syndicate Smashers, the man is ancient. Like, but he could at least move back in this movie.
Yeah, like he was doing all, like we said, he does all of his own stunts.
Yeah, he has a fight scene later in the movie that, and he fights somebody that just shows up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and he's a crazy guy. What the hell?
It's and he's a guy. He was in Big Trouble in Little China. I can't remember his name. I have it written down somewhere. But that guy's what is his name? Gerald Akamura. That's it. That guy, he's been in like Big Trouble in Little China. He was in like G.I. Joe. He plays like bit part martial artist in a lot of stuff, and is kind of a name in that regard. And he just shows up in one scene and is like a crazy guy and kills Mel Novak. Maybe I don't know
what.
So that we open up on a kickboxing scene after David Carradine mumbles something.
It's like underground gambling kickboxing.
Yeah, and it's our main character Thayer, whatever, I don't know his first name. James Thayer. Okay, and he's fighting, and I love this scene. So it's like in a bar, like a seedy bar, dive bar type place. There's people watching, and they're kickboxing, and it's like pretty good. Looks pretty good, but because the sound effects are so terrible, and whoever audio mixes just done nothing. There's no reaction by the crowd to these guys. Like you would think you'd be like, yeah, woo! Ah!
Like even the Foley sound of him going through the table is god awful.
Yeah, but there is, because at first they're like doing these really impressive, like if this was a real fight you were watching, the crowd would be going nuts, but you hear nothing. But then occasionally towards the end you hear some polite golf claps, and it's the exact same polite golf clap sound effect over and over.
Yes.
It's like, all right, great. Oh, it's amazing. And then he throws him through a table, like you said. I think he dies. Or just goes unconscious. It doesn't. Who knows? It doesn't matter.
But Mel Novak shows up, and some other dude.
Yeah, the cops. They
show up as and arrest Thayer.
Yeah.
And then take him to a secret room.
Yeah.
And claim that they are a secret division of the DEA.
You're not under arrest, and we're not the police. We're a secret branch of the DEA.
Yeah.
And they need his help
with the Project Kick.
What
which was a drug? Is a drug called Kick that was given to cows and poultry to make them bigger or something.
Yeah, to give them more muscle.
Yeah.
Lee spent many years perfecting this drug, originally to speed the growth of cattle and poultry. However, eating meat raised from this drug became highly addicting.
Okay, Kyle, I don't understand. So it's a drug that like makes people strong but also hallucinate or something. Yeah. But also it gives people birth defects, like if they have babies. Can you explain to me? It sounded to me like this movie exists in a universe where this drug is somehow prevalent enough that it's causing birth defects in all babies. Is that what they were saying?
I think just human.
Well, yeah, sure, just human. But like they say
9 out of 10 babies are born mutated, deformed, and without limbs. Wake up, man.
Wake up, man.
This scene, okay. Well, first, when they arrest him, this movie has no idea how stun guns work or whatever. They tase him and he just passes out.
Well, they tase him and then they tase him through a shirt, which
I think it worked. No, it works. I think it worked.
Much better skin contact.
But he just passes out because of it. It's like, that's not how that works.
I'm unconscious.
And then they bring him to like an hour later. I was like, that's not how stun guns work. Okay, cool. And he also is wearing denim on denim. There's a lot of denim in this movie. He's got a denim jacket later.
His belt is way past his navel through most of this movie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He also he has a flashback because they say the person bringing this, the reason they got him, the person bringing this drug into America is a guy named Nakata, who was his former sensei when he was in Japan or whatever. He was studying martial arts, and we have a flashback, and the flashback is amazing. It's just flashes back, and he's laying on a table with a watermelon dick.
With
like,
no...
he's got it over his dick, Kyle. Why? Normally when you do that sort of thing where it's like oh, you're gonna cut something with a sword on a person for like a show, they have it like on their chest or something. He has this round, this big bulbous watermelon on his crotch, and then the guy circumcises it. He slices the top of the watermelon. It's so weird. It's amazing. I don't understand why they did that.
He's doctor number one, very best.
In Japan, heart surgeon number 1, steady hand.
That's amazing. But then Thayer's like, no, I'm not helping you. Fuck you guys. But they're like, but genetic defects, that's what we're talking about.
It's like 10%.
He says 9 out of 10 babies get this.
Oh, 9 out of 10.
I thought he said 9 out of 10 get it?
9 out of 10 babies are born mutated, deformed, and without limbs.
Because the thing that I didn't understand is if the movie is saying that somehow it's causing all babies to have this birth defect or just people who take this drug. And I don't even know how you take this drug because eventually they tell us that our main character has been on it the whole movie, but we've never seen him taking any drugs or how are they dosing him?
The wife was. The wife was dosing.
James, I've been feeding you kick for the last 2 years. We've been here trying to get it right. Damn it, why couldn't you get it right?
Okay.
Because that's a whole nother...
That's a whole... Oh, that reveal twist. Is like, what what is... That was a rewrite way late in the process, I feel like, because it makes no sense.
Honestly, James, you make everything so dramatic.
So, yeah, he says something about birth defects. He says 9 out of 10 babies are born without limbs, and he goes, wake up, man.
Wake up, man.
One of the cops guys or DEA guys or whatever, and then for some reason this changes Thayer's mind and he decides to help.
Oh yeah, I gotta help you guys
save
out.
The babies, I guess.
As that happens, the most mindfuck thing possible comes into effect here.
Yeah, some guy bursts in with guns and just starts shooting everybody.
Kills those 2 guys.
Kills Mel Novak.
Yeah, kills
shoots
Mel
him
Novak
in the chest.
and whatever the other dude's name is.
Yeah, the other.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
Shoots Mel Novak in the chest. I was like, well, I guess Mel Novak's not in this movie anymore. I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
Because this movie doesn't make any sense. So this was all a ruse?
For what purpose? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because they didn't offer him anything in the first place. All they did was tell him about the drug.
I don't know who's working for who or what any of this means. Because yes, so they show up and they kill Mel Novak, and then our guy goes and gets kidnapped. Or then he gets hit with a sleep dart.
Yes.
And then he wakes up in his own home?
Yes.
Why? How did he get there?
I don't know. Because he wakes up in his own home, and they left. He has his loaded gun. Yeah, and that's the only reason you know it's his home.
Yeah, because how would he know
where
otherwise?
His gun is.
Yeah, So he has to be in his own home, but then he goes downstairs, and this is where he runs into the DEA woman or whatever, who works Anna.
Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki, who works for the DEA, and she's there, and he asks her. He goes, "How did I get here?" And they never answer or address it, and it's
a good question.
Who the hell are you, and how did I get back here?
I'm Nikki Holt with the Drug Enforcement Agency.
I was like, what is going on? And now we're to assume that eventually that maybe like, because everybody is in cahoots other than Nikki, I think, that like maybe but why would they bring him there? I don't understand what their plan is, Kyle.
I don't know.
This movie makes no sense.
But it ends up with him being asked to basically fake a guy's death in a kickboxing
Yes.
We'll stage his death in the ring, and with 1 million viewers thinking he's dead, we'll give him a new identity after he testifies against Nakata.
So this guy, this kickboxer, has dirt on Nakata.
Yeah, so they got to make him disappear.
So that they can keep him safe until the trial, or until they're going to bring charges or whatever, because they think Nakata's going to kill him or something.
Yes.
So our guy is going to pretend to kill him in the ring. But then he actually does kill him, but then it turns out he actually didn't kill him.
What is going on in this movie?
They literally every time they're like, it's a twist, it's another twist. It's like,
I guess you weren't expecting that time that you expected that time that you expected that time.
It's so weird.
They are putting so many hats on.
Yeah.
They're like a walking. They're like a walking hat rack.
Yeah, and they can't keep them straight either, because I don't think the movie understood, like, by the end who was working for who or what was going. I think they were just like, fuck it, everybody dies and then our guy wins. I don't know, like, literally no idea.
So accurate.
They're like, fuck it, everybody just gets killed by someone. Because I don't care, I'm jumping to the end. At the end of the movie, Mel Novak is fighting. Who is Mel Novak fighting and who is he working for? Okay, I don't want to, we'll get there. I guess we'll get there. But that drove me insane in that final, towards the end scene. But we'll talk about it in a minute. But we find out his wife's pregnant in this scene also. He goes, hey, where's my wife? And she's like, she's at the hospital because she's pregnant.
Yes.
And then he goes and talks to her, right? I think. And she tells him, you got to stop fighting.
You have to stop the fighting. I need you. Your child needs you.
Because I'm pregnant, I'm going to have this baby, and your child needs you. You can't be, doing these underground fighting rings or whatever.
Well.
He goes, well, actually, and not only am I doing that, I'm pretending to murder a man in the ring for a government agency or something. I don't know. So then I think the next thing is the fight, right?
I believe so.
Roughly. The only other thing that we're introduced to Nakata sitting back to, because it's the classic 90s or 80s bad guy in a movie always sitting next to a pool.
Well, this is where they have one of the dudes who was shot in the DEA thing.
Yeah.
It just shows up here.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you were killed, weren't you?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
Glad you called.
I think everybody is working together other than Nikki. I think. Because David Carradine at times calls Nakata, and he also calls, like, Mel Novak in them. Mm-hmm. And then, but he also at one point is talking to Nikki, and she's like...
because she's an actual detective.
Yeah. And I guess he's, like, trying to keep her off the...
Yeah, he's like the corrupt commissioner.
Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. But I love, so there's one scene by a pool, and Nakata is doing some training, and he kicks his people into the pool.
Whenever
for
I
training.
saw this, it was very suspiciously looked like overkill.
Yeah, it looks like that pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the classic bad guys sitting next to pools, because that's what they do in movies. And then we get, as they're explaining that he's gonna kill this guy in the ring, or pretend to kill him in the ring, we get a montage of Gary Daniels like working out, and good Christ, it is 90% bulge shots. It is.
Yes.
He is wearing these tight red spandex shorts, and every single shot.
I need to remind you that I have testicles.
Every shot is him raising his leg up so that we can just stare at his bulge. And he's doing like the Van Damme like splits on chairs, and it's just his bulge sitting dangling down there. It's so...
You gotta know how flexible he is.
It's so intrusive. It's so intrusive. So they're gonna stage this guy's death, and he's gonna get a new identity. And then they get to the fight, and they're fighting in this ring. It's like an actual boxing ring. It's not like at a bar or whatever. It's like it looks like they're in an arena or something. And he has like a cut man and stuff. And so they keep going back and forth, and this guy's actually kind of beating him up quite a bit. And he's like,
Anybody tell this guy it's just a game?
Yeah, man, it's gotta look real.
road is this to you?
But then his cut man definitely poisons the opponent's cut man. Definitely, like, you can see he like gives him, he like forces him to drink some water. And so it's setting us up to think like, oh, maybe they are actually killing him. And then that's what we see, is it seems like they actually do kill him because he like gets poisoned and like falls over, and then our guy beats the shit out of him. But then they're like, oh, he's dead. And then he gets arrested.
Well, they cut his glove open, and they pull out a giant metal block.
There's like a metal. They're like, oh, you put metal in your gloves.
So you would have noticed that.
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah. Like he didn't notice that his gloves weighed 12 pounds more than they normally do for some reason. Yeah, I thought that was so fucking stupid. But now, so he gets arrested by the cops for murdering this guy. Again, I don't know what any of this plan is because I don't understand what they're like because ultimately all of them are in cahoots and this is all just a big setup.
It doesn't make any sense.
So what was the point of setting him up into any of it? Why not just kill him? I don't understand.
He wasn't connected to any of this in the first place.
They bring him in just to fuck with them. Like, why did they do this? They literally don't. They do. They literally.
Like, if they didn't bring him, if they didn't mess with him in the first place, they would have gotten away with everything.
They would have gotten away with everything. But they bring him into their plan and then set up this elaborate Rube Goldberg device, and that ends ultimately with him killing them all somehow. And it's the weirdest thing. I don't know what their plan was or what they were trying to do.
Nukata, you bastard!
Oh, but I love after he beats up the cops. He beats up the cops with his hands tied, and then he jump kicks the door open.
Yes, that was amazing.
Like, yeah, and kicks it open. It's like you can just okay, fine, sure. And then, but he walks outside, and Nikki's just there.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's there. I don't know why she would know to be there, but sure. He just gets in her car and drives away. And
this is where he's attacked. This is where he's attacked at his home.
This movie never breathes. It's like he gets out of a fight, gets to a location, and then somebody else immediately attacks him.
This fight in this home is insane.
Yeah, it does.
Well, everything else about this movie is insane.
Everything's insane about
this movie. But this is particularly infuriating for a couple of reasons. One, you have a moment where it's like save the cat, and he doesn't, but whatever. So like she's getting attacked by a guy, he's getting jumped by like two guys.
Yeah,
they're all in some crazy fight. She's breaking beer bottles over a guy's head
over and over.
He's beating up like two guys and they're running.
Yeah.
Well, last he saw her, after they ran, she was being drugged into the kitchen. Yeah. So his reaction wasn't be like, I should go help. No, I'm going to drive after them.
He just gets a magic motorcycle appears.
Yes.
He runs outside and then it cuts and he's driving a motorcycle down the street. I'm like,
but
what?
She turns on the gas in this kitchen, and the guy had a Zippo lighter.
Yeah.
So she lights it up, throws it into the room, and leaves, and it explodes.
Yeah.
She blew up his house.
She blew up his house to kill one guy. And there's no way she would have gotten away.
No.
She's standing right there. She throws it, and then it cuts, and the whole house explodes, and she's fine.
It's only said better on the fact that his chase is so hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
He's driving after them, and they're like looking back, and then they just fall off a cliff and die. They just explode.
I was like, what happened? He drives next to them, and they're like, huh? Boom! And I was like, what? What just happened, Kyle? So many times in this movie, I was like, Kyle, what happened? What is going on? That car exploding was the first one that was like, nothing happened. He pulls up next to it, the guy veers an inch, and his car explodes and flies off a cliff.
That's a superpower. That's a superpower.
That's what I mean. He must have like laser eyes or something. Because how else? Oh my god. And then our guy just passes out on Skid Row and takes a little nap.
Yeah, he's like, well, I mean, he's homeless now.
Yeah, it's true. He is homeless, but he doesn't go back to check on her.
He gets woken up by the guy who just set him up.
Yeah, literally the guy who was in the ring, right? Well, his cut man, basically, yeah. Who just set him up, and then he fights all those people. Before he goes to bed, we get a sweet, sexy time montage where he like laying there, like dreaming of his wife.
Remember.
Yeah, but then so they show up and he fights all of them. I think Raiden just beats them all up.
This is where the ADR is fucking fucking
it's so bad.
It's so bad here.
The main guy is ADR, like the main bad guy in this scene.
It's unbelievably terrible.
He's like, no, I swear.
You have to believe me. You have to believe me.
It's so bad. It's amazing.
There was no other way. Trust me. Come on. Trust me.
And then but then he tricks him. He's gonna go with them.
Yeah.
But he tricks him. I forgot about the way he tricks him.
Yeah, he asked him about Agent Holt.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, he's great.
Who's Agent Holt?
Holt? Oh, him. He works for us.
One of our best guys.
You just say he?
That's a lady. Dun, dun, dun. And then he's like, no.
I know. She blew up my home.
I love too. And then he beats up everybody else, and it's just him and that guy, and the guy's got a gun on him, and he's like,
you think you're faster than this?
And I was thinking it was a flashback to what's the
stick fighter.
Yeah, stick fighter, faster than a bullet, whatever.
Johnny, you're not that fast.
But then I couldn't tell if he was faking being sick or if he actually gets sick, because he like falls over like, oh, my stomach. And then he like crawls.
Well, apparently it's a side effect of the drug.
But at this point, we weren't aware that he was being drugged.
Yeah.
So I was like, I thought he was faking. And I'm like, you're an idiot guy with a gun. This guy, like, you have a gunpoint's like, oh, my tum-tum. Oh,
Look, he's ill from the side effects of the drugs that we're manufacturing. I guess it's safe to go up to him now.
Yeah. And then he just gets up and he just grabs his gun. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Okay, great. And then he runs away. I don't remember what happens, how that scene ends. It doesn't matter. And then Mel Novak's back alive. Yeah. This is where he shows back up, and I'm like, wait, so that was all fake, I guess? That was all big ruse? Again, what is the plot here?
He gets into a fight with Mel Novak, who's trying to get information from Mel Novak. And then I thought Mel Novak died.
Again, but he didn't. No, my favorite thing is the start of the fight with Mel Novak. Our main character comes in. He's holding a cleaver, like a meat cleaver. Yeah. And he walks into the scene, and Mel Novak's talking to some other guy. And then it cuts to a wide shot, and from like 2 feet away, our guy tries to throw a cleaver at him. I'm like, just hit him with the cleaver. You're like, why would you throw it? He's right. Okay.
He's got to use his martial arts.
Yeah. And then Mel Novak picks up the cleaver, and we get some sweet fight scene with Mel Novak. But yeah, he doesn't die because Mel Novak comes back later to be murdered by a random henchman who I don't know who he's fighting for. Kyle.
Yes. I was so confused when that happened.
We'll get there. I also, in that fight scene, our guy throws water on a guy in a fight. He just gets like a cooler and it's like splash. And the guy's like, hey, I'm wet now. No. And then he burns a guy to death. Our protagonist burns a guy to death.
He just lights him up.
Because the guy's fighting him with a road flare.
Well, yes. He basically lights him with a road flare. The guy's dying. It's like, dude, take off your jacket.
Yeah.
Take off your jacket.
No, leaves it on, just dies.
No, it's fashion.
It's the hottest new trend, Kyle.
It's to die for. Oh!
Yeah, but I love it at the end of that scene. So he burns the guy to death, watches him burn to death, and then the camera pushes in on him, and he looks up at the sky and goes, Nakata!
Yes!
Nakata, you bastard! That's what he's... Amazing.
Nakata, you bastard!
Then he goes to the warehouse, and again, this is where we just get cuts of like David Carradine on the phone being like, "He's headed to the warehouse. Go get him." And then
yes, what is going on in this movie?
It doesn't know, Kyle. They just making it up as they go.
You give David Carradine, you give him $2,000 to be like, can you add these scenes? Can you film these with you just so we can release this movie?
Yeah, it's literally just so, how did those, but it's so funny to me that they thought that they needed David Carradine to explain how like the bad guys know where the good guy is, because that's all he does is like tell his henchmen where the good guy is so they can go get him. Like, do they think that otherwise, if we watch this movie, we'd be like, well, how did they know he was getting to the going to that warehouse? They gotta have David, because like that's the least confusing thing in this movie. Like them showing up wherever our good guy is fine. You can just do that.
Yep.
I hate this. Fucking. He beats the guy up with a sock full of nickels. That's great.
Keep the change.
Oh, dude, that moment. He beats that guy up, and I thought he had like a lock or something in his sock, but and he dumps the nickels on the guy's chest, and I was like, say keep the change. Say keep the change. And he says it. Yes.
Keep the change.
The puns in this film are
amazing.
On point.
Amazing. And one of the guys he fights in the scene is wearing a crop top. Looking real good. He's got a very short crop top. It looks great. He's got a triple slow-mo kick that's pretty dope, where he runs into a room and jumps up and side kicks two guys and then kicks a third guy all in like one motion, which is kind of cool. And then I don't understand. So then he gets captured, and he's tied to like a forklift or whatever. Yeah. And this fucking scene, this is where Nakata comes in and is like talking to him, and this is where he explains that he's been drugged this whole time.
Yes. So Nakata has been feeding him drugs, and while he's been in the States with his wife, he's been fed drugs.
Yes. So, but I don't understand what the movie's trying to do here, because Nakata at one point holds up a newspaper and is like,
"Read me today's headline. See, it's affecting your brain.
See how it's affecting your brain?" But they never explain what's happening.
That's where you do the cut in of a newspaper that's all like scrambled.
Yeah, like show a first person shot of him and he like can't read or something. But we literally, I don't know what's supposed to be happening. He's just like, look at this newspaper. Don't you see how it's affecting your brain? I'm like, what? No, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. This is where I wrote, Kyle, I gotta admit, I have no idea what the fuck is going on in this movie.
Movie's a classic.
And then he says 9 out of 10 babies are born infected. And then that building blows up. They blow that building up.
Yeah, why do they keep blowing up stuff?
She comes to save the day, right? And like he's getting tortured like with an electric cable by the guys, and she shows up and gets him out somehow. She like shoots her gun and then cuts him free, and then they run out and the building explodes.
And they just get, quote unquote, out of the range of it.
Yeah, and my favorite is like that scene plays, the bomb goes off, they're outside, and the music's still going, and then it just all cuts directly to Dave Carradine on the phone like, okay, well, that failed. Let's move on to the next stop. Like...
Meet me back at the hotel. Go!
The only thing I regret is they are not killing your men.
Just the sense of editing and
the
pacing
shot of them after the explosion is just, here's some debris and a fan.
Yeah. It's fucking it's so bad. Everything in this movie is so bad. And then he needs to overcome this drug poisoning, so they go to her uncle, who's like this ancient Chinese medicine guy.
He has a lot of medicinal lizards. And lizards.
I love my favorite thing is like he shows up and they're like, well, we can do something to help with the drugs that are in you or whatever, but are you willing to try anything?
Are you willing to try anything?
And he holds up like a dead lizard, and the guy's like, yeah, I guess. And then it cuts to them just meditating. It's like
dead lizard. Like, can we go step up? Can we go like a yak's penis or something?
Yeah.
You know, Joe Rogan, this is not the first time I've tasted penis. I've had several in my line of work.
Like you said, anything.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's not even that bad. Like
a desiccated lizard that's basically turned into a fan.
Yeah,
it's all stretched out.
It's all stretched out. It's got a tail as like a stick.
Well, I imagine it'd be very crunchy.
Yeah. Oh, but it's yeah. So, but then he just meditates, and it's like you gotta control your rage by meditating.
To fight the pain, you must gain control over your body. Take your body back. The demons are your drugs. Take your body back from the demons.
Okay. Thought we were gonna use some like magic or something, but just like relax is his advice. Like
okay,
chill.
Thanks, brah.
And then I don't understand what this is, Kyle. there's an I thought it was an ultrasound. Then they cut after the meditation scene, and they're in the police station or something with like her, like somebody she knows, that guy who's eating the whole scene, who's just eating food and like hamming it up like a motherfucker. And they're looking at something on his computer that I thought was an ultrasound, and I thought they were looking at.
Yes, okay.
Like, what is going
they're
on?
They're looking at a doll that they're using to transport the drugs into the country.
But where did this come from?
I have no clue.
It just comes out of nowhere.
But the guy said, the line that stuck out to me that the motherfucker said
go for
was, I'm not a podiatrist or a pedophile.
I'm no podiatrist, nor am I a pedophile, but those joints, they have too much of a fold in them.
I'm not a podiatrist, nor am I a pedophile, but something's wrong with those feet.
What? What?
Great. I was like, when anybody says out loud in a public setting, I am not a pedophile, that person's a pedophile 100% of the time. It's like, wild.
I am not projecting at all.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's such a weird scene. So then they're like, oh, it's a doll. Because then they say, oh, it says made in China or whatever.
Made in Hong Kong.
Made in Hong Kong.
Or Hong Kong. So they figure out it's a fucking doll. And then I'm like, oh, I guess maybe that's something to do with like their transfer. And then we figure out that is where they're transporting the drugs in. And they're like, oh, it's like something like a prize you could win. So this somehow leads our guy to the carnival because that's where he win this baby doll prize.
Yeah, because the doll's around, but this is like a knockoff doll that's only at that carnival.
Yeah. Before we get to the carnival, though, Scott Shaw shows up.
Oh, God. Yeah, this scene where they have people who are the quote-unquote leaders of this drug ring, and they're all like discussing their cuts and all that, and like the cost.
I did not care.
It was so dumb. Nakata just kills two of them, and Scott Shaw's like, so I guess it's 50-50. 70-30.
So, that makes our share 50-50.
No, 70-30.
Scott Shaw always smoking a cigar in this movie. He's always got a cigar in his.
We didn't get any like fancy Scott Shaw anything in this.
No, he just kind of stands around and is like.
Although in the IMDb he is credited as Mr. Cool, but in this film he's credited as dealer.
Oh,
but it just says Mr. Cool.
I like Mr. Cool because where he dies makes sense. They fight someone at a bar. I don't even remember what. Oh, we got to talk about the bar fight though, because the way it ends. So they fight. They're some reason they end up at a bar. Our main two, the girl and the guy, and there's fighting a bunch of people there. And the nickel guy shows back up. He's been bested, and I love when he shows up. He has the nickels. He saved them, and he starts throwing them at our guy. And he says something ridiculous to him.
These belong to you. Dial 911. So easy this time, slick.
He goes, you're not gonna get me this time or whatever. But he does get him. He beats the shit out of this guy and then grabs a pool stick and puts it under the guy's chin and then elbow drops his head through the goddamn.
What?
It's amazing. But yeah, that's the one. He just impales that guy on a pool stick, and I was like, holy shit.
Crap.
And then he chases another guy into a room, and I love the guy. He's chasing this guy, and he chases him outside and then like into another building, like a garage. And in the garage, the guy runs in the door and then jumps up on a shelf to wait. And then our guy walks in, and he kicks him once, and then immediately jumps down. I was like, that was the plan? You just, okay, all right, fine. All right.
Yeah. Jump on his back and strike him.
That's what I thought he was going to do. I was going to like jump up there so he can jump on him and like choke him. No, he just kicks him once and then gets down. I'm like, what the fuck was the... Okay, great. So he gets to the fun house, and he's got a baby. He runs into a guy with a baby, and he's like, where'd you get that baby? And then they immediately fight. Just immediately start fighting. And this scene could have been super awesome. So at this point, we know he's been drugged and dosed and stuff. So he's like on this drug. And he ends up in a fun house, like a wacky...
And that's the point where you do all the hallucinogenic stuff, and you can have fun with it.
Yeah, it would be amazing. And they even get close because one of the bad guys pops up wearing like a weird bug, like fly mask that's like creepy. How fun of a fight scene would this be if he's fighting these guys wearing weird carnival costumes and it's super trippy and wild and he's like, there's like fun house mirrors and shit. That'd be like a fucking awesome, cool fight scene. But no,
you don't
they
get
just
that.
take their masks.
You don't get that. You don't get that in this movie.
No, they just take their masks off and have a normal fight and then it's boring and then it ends. And okay, great. You almost said you had the opportunity to be creative and you were like, no,
we're good.
Nah, pass. And then it turns out, so he finds the drugs in that doll, but it's fake drugs. They're not even real drugs, and it's like another one of those stupid twists that doesn't. Why do they have these fake drugs?
Why?
I don't understand any of it, man.
We're gonna pull this guy in who has no connection to any of this, and we're gonna set him up. But then we're also gonna double set him up
so that he
finds drugs that are fake, so it doesn't do anything.
So then he gotta go find the real drugs, which he eventually will, and then he'll show up to us, and then we'll get to kill him. Why did we bring him into this again? Like, what is going on?
Because we're villains.
Oh, it's so
that's what we do.
Wild.
You're villain. You just pick a guy out of the freaking crowd to be your arch nemesis or whatever.
Yeah, and I guess it has something to do with because Nakata and him were friends. But I don't they're not talking. Doesn't matter. Then we get the ice room scene where I love Chuck Liddell's in this. It's not Chuck Liddell,
it
but
looks like him.
And he's in a giant room full of ice, and I was like, Iceman, what's going on? But he's got a sledgehammer, and he has the worst aim in the world with this. He's swinging it around,
it's
missing
all over the place.
It's just like breaking blocks of ice. But again, this is a cool scene potentially.
It's a cool scene.
Yeah.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points. And may God have mercy on your soul.
Because it's like in this big freezer room, and there's these giant chunks of ice everywhere, which is kind of at least visually interesting. But so he's fighting all these guys, and he impales that dude's. He impales Chuck Liddell's face on an ice spike.
Oh no! But then Scott Shaw takes out a gun, which you're like, that's not Scott Shaw.
Yeah, come on, man. What are you doing? Be zen. No guns.
But Gary Daniels just knocks out a domino effect onto him. And he's basically almost dead.
He's like crushed. He's like bleeding from the mouth, basically. And it's so anticlimactic because he literally, when you say he literally pushes a thing of dominoes of ice that just land on him. We don't see it. We just see the result of it afterwards. But yeah, so he's dying and our guy's talking to him.
Like, yeah, he tells him what he needs to know. And he's like, yeah, get me out of here. And you know, we're good. And he's like, nope.
Crush your face with an ice block. And we get a splatter of blood on the wall. It's amazing. Then we get to this thing, and a guy shows up, and this is almost the final thing. A guy shows up to Nakata with a briefcase, and I don't know who this guy. He's the buyer, I guess.
Yes, yeah. This guy in the suit, right? The really nice suit.
Yeah, and they do this. They go through this whole rigmarole of putting his gun and all the weapons and stuff in a safe. And then having the safe combination be 3 of the numbers are provided by Nakata and 3 of them are provided by this guy. And none of it matters because at the end, she's just like, I got the safe open. I got the grenades.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
What was all of this? Oh, great.
She's just that damn good at safe cracking.
Yeah. And then he fights some more guys. The chubby guy in the purple polo and red pants is my favorite henchman in this movie.
It's so good. That dude is the best. The mullet is spot on with him.
A fucking mullet, and I swear to God, he was trolling the movie because they're like, there's no way that his call card that for that day when they said when they were like, all right guys, when you come in, you're gonna be a henchman. We're doing this fight scene. If it's a big final fight scene, try to wear black, neutral colors, something like that. And this guy shows up in a red fucking polo and purple pants and was like,
fucking movie.
It's amazing.
Oh god, just everything about that guy. That guy is without a doubt my spirit animal throughout this whole film.
It's amazing. And then he pulls a butterfly knife out of his boot at one point and is going at our guy, and our guy knocks the knife into the air, catches it, and fucking slits his throat. And he's like, now that guy's dead, I guess. Oh, damn. I love that guy. I know, I loved him so much.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
The purple fucking pants. It's so amazing.
It's like
or purple polo, red pants. Yeah.
Oh man, I wish it was the other way because secretly he'd be the Hulk.
yeah, it's red.
The Hulk with a mullet.
Oh, he's amazing. And then so he gets into this fight. He beats up all these guys, and he gets into like a confrontation. Now Nakata's there, and our guy has somebody, I don't know, one of the henchmen or something. He's like holding him at gunpoint or whatever, and he goes. And they're like, hey, they're still trying to reason with him at this point. They're like, you could join us or whatever. And I love our guy yells at him.
No drugs are good. Now give me my wife.
No, drugs are bad. Give me my wife. Drugs
what
are
is
bad.
that line?
No, drugs are...
Stay
no
in
drugs.
school. Listen to your parents.
Yeah. I think he says no drugs are good. Like, there are no good drugs. Give me my wife.
No, there's some good ones.
Yes. And then they're like, well, if she wants to, and he's like, what?
Huh?
And then
you think it's gonna be her, or they have her like held captive or something like that? Well, they do.
Well, they do.
But the guy he recently killed in the ring,
the kickboxing
comes
guy
out
from earlier,
Yeah.
walks out. He's alive, and he's like, what? What the heck? And then
his wife walks out, and they're together.
She's with the kickboxer
Yeah.
from before, and she's evil and has been drugging him this whole time for the last 2 years, all to set... Again, why did they do any of this? All they needed... Because they say, we sent her to spy on you or whatever, or to like seduce you or whatever. But why? Why do they hate this guy so much? Why are they fucking with him?
Look, you have no connection to us whatsoever, but fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. We're gonna honeypot you. We're gonna build up an entire life of lies. You're gonna fall in love, get married, think you're having a child, and then we're gonna...
Oh god, you know what the fuck this is? X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Is it?
Yeah, because oh god, they have the Silver Fox character. She marries Wolverine, and they're in Canada, and then she's secretly part of the organization to keep track of him.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Oh my god! But again, it's just all for like no reason. So she's evil, and then a fight breaks out, and I don't know who's fighting each other. I've talked about this earlier.
Nikki shows up. And then it cuts to random people. We don't know what connection these random people have. Apparently, they're fighting the bad guys.
Yeah, who's fighting who for what? So, from my understanding, in the scene, our guy shows up. He's the only good guy there, right? I thought he's the good guy. All the rest of these guys are working together, except for the one business guy, the one businessman who came in the suit. He's irrelevant.
Who apparently knows kung fu.
Yeah. He's there, but. So then Nikki shows up and the fights break out, and like Mel Novak's fighting some random guy, and I don't know who, and gets his neck broke or something by that guy. He gets shoves his Adam apple into his throat and kills him. I don't even know what he does. He does something amazing. But there's all these dumb fights. None of it fucking matters because ultimately everybody just kills each other. And then this fucking insane scene is my favorite thing though at the beginning of this scene is that Mel Novak, there's this little moment where the fighting breaks out and he just runs away and runs around a corner and then just hides in the corner. He just like runs into a room and is like
just gonna slip away.
But so they all fight each other, but then I love this. Nakata calls for a chopper from David Carradine, and he wants the chopper to fuck. So Nakata wants the chopper. David Carradine's gonna send the chopper in. But then this fucking moment is crazy. Nikki runs into the fake girlfriend.
Yeah.
The fake wife or whatever, and she's like,
give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you right now.
and I'm like, well, first off, I mean, she's seemingly evil, but she's not doing anything.
But Gary Daniels comes in and says,
no, wait.
Who's this?
Gives her a knife, and then she, from what we can understand, one of our protagonists just butchers a woman who's not involved. Like, she's part of the bad guy team, but she's not fighting anybody. She doesn't have any weapons. She seems to be trying to run away from this. And our protagonist just kills her with a knife, I guess. It's fucking wild. It's fucking wild. But then he gets up to the roof, and this is where he fights Nakata.
Mm-hmm.
Because now David Carradine pulls the chopper, he's not going to pick up Nakata because he wants all the money for himself. But even though, how can he get the money? Because the guy with the money was there and now is dead, and I don't understand. Whatever, none of it matters. So Nakata's stuck on this roof, and they have their showdown. Master versus apprentice.
Yes.
And
Garrett Andrews is getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole, pretty much the whole fight.
And there's really great, terrible fake wind sound effects the whole time. Just like, yeah. Getting his ass kicked. I love at one point he goes,
"You created me, now you destroy me."
All right, great. But he's getting his ass kicked. But then he eventually the guy decides he doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah, he's like, go,
get out of
he's
here.
Like kicking him still.
Yeah, he's like, it's like the thing in the movie where it's like when you gotta set a dog free or whatever. It's like, get out of here, go,
get out of here, you stupid animal.
I don't love you anymore. Get out of here. Yeah, but he keeps saying, demon just fucked me. He's my favorite thing is he's like, get out of here, but like you said, immediately starts fighting him again. He's like, go.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
But they do that all the way to a corner, and then he just lifts him over the retaining wall part of this roof, and he falls like 5 stories.
But we don't get to see it. We just see like some angle.
We see an exterior from the helicopter.
Yeah, and we see him flying, but then he falls to his death. Yeah, and then I forgot to mention that this whole time, Nakata, at least once or twice, has said to Thayer, our main character,
"This is business, capitalism."
It's just capitalism. Like I'm just making money. It's capitalism, whatever, something like that.
Evil capitalism.
And then it gets to the end, and he says that line again, something like that, right before he gets thrown off the roof, and then. Again, why the movie is titled Capital Punishment is after he gets thrown off the roof, the camera comes back to our guy and he goes,
"That's your capital punishment."
What? Why is that? Okay, great, fantastic. And then, like I said, Nikki shows up with a bunch of grenades. She's just holding grenades.
I have grenades.
She's like, I got the safe open. I got grenades now. Okay. And I was like, there's like 2 minutes left. How is this movie going to end? And it's just going to end. Now David Carradine is driving a truck.
He's driving a semi.
Don't know when this happened or how, but
he's got a helicopter following him, and that's how they find him is through the helicopter.
Yeah. And I guess it's a giant truck full of the drug is the idea. It's like a tanker truck full of this drug or whatever. And so they see him with the thing, and then they like pull off to the side of the road. Apparently next to a bridge, but that's not what it looks like.
It apparently they're at like an overpass.
Yeah.
And that's the quote-unquote bridge, but the exterior they take of this bridge exploding
is from a different movie. It has to be from a different movie. There's no way that's
But he takes the grenades and just chucks them as David Carradine is driving across it.
Yeah.
And we don't, much like Treasure Raiders, we don't see anything with David Carradine except like, he doesn't spin.
He goes, bitch. Son of a bitch. Like the most casual it is, a son of a bitch. And then it just explodes.
Like, we won, right? We won?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then up in the helicopter, in the most random scene possible, the helicopter pilot who legitimately was like, I got to stick with David Carradine because he's already screwed one person out of the money, and I need to make sure I get paid.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, his co-pilot is like, did we just lose our share?
Yeah.
No, he unbuckles him and throws him out of the helicopter.
For no reason. What's the... Is it because he's a witness to this? I don't understand what he's thinking because there's no money anymore.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting a bigger share that I don't.
Because the only person who walked out of there alive from the bad guy's side is the helicopter.
Is the helicopter? He's literally the only guy that survives. You're right. Oh, it's fucking wild. And then he wakes up in the hospital, or he ends up in the hospital, and she's like, "Oh, my uncle sent some medicine," and she pulls up lizards.
Ma'am, he can only have hospital food.
And then they laugh.
Yeah, I
and
get
laugh
it.
and
These
laugh.
guys got lizards. That wackiness.
And they laugh, and then the movie ends. And what the fuck was Kyle? What the fuck? What the fuck happened in this?
This is a movie that had no clue what it was doing.
None. I think the thing that's most wild is that they tried so hard to weave some sort of tale, in that there's all these triple crosses and nonsense, where it's one thing if you didn't know what you're doing and you just want to make a martial arts movie and you just have like come up with bullshit reasons for a person to go from point A to point B fighting people. Like, you can do that really simple. Like some Scott Shaw movies, I'm sure, are kind of like that. This one, though, was like, no, we're going to create this intricate, Departed level, like the Departed, like people who are working for the bad guys are actually good guys, are actually bad guys, and then it's going to get revealed 8 million times at the end, and then everybody dies. Okay, I guess if that's what you want to do with this, it's good bad. Kyle, this movie's fucking wild. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. It's
So
on YouTube.
Good Bad, that's our verdict.
I would go with Good
I think
Bad.
we have to, just because it makes so little sense. You can't help but be entertained by it.
You can't help but be entertained. There's just so much of like, wait, what's going on now? What? And it's not boring because, like I said, every 5 minutes somebody else attacks him.
Yes.
Like, and he gets.
There's so often. This film is a film that only makes sense if you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
If you have it like going on in the background.
Yeah. You just like glance at it like, oh, he's fighting somebody else. That makes sense.
Hey, he's fighting. I thought Mel Novak died. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I guess he didn't die. I guess they resurrected him. Who knows? Doesn't fucking matter. I would urge any of our viewers to go watch this movie on YouTube and write a fucking synopsis of what the fuck the plot is and send it to us.
The entire film is on YouTube.
Yeah, it's Capital Punishment 1991 on YouTube. Just write me a synopsis. You can mail it to our PO box, and we'll read it on air. Just explain what the fuck happened in this movie. Why did any of it happen? Why did somebody explain?
You know, some people are going to do that.
I hope. I want it. I welcome it. I need to read somebody's 8,000 page manifesto of them trying to fucking figure out this movie. As always, you can support us on patreon.com, that stuff. Also, I have a podcast called This Film Is Lit, talking about movies that are based on books. When you're watching this, the episode that will be out is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
That's a book?
It's like a kid's picture book.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. We do kids books sometimes, like picture books. Occasionally.
It's got pretty pictures.
It does, yeah. So yeah, and then that's all.
Yeah, a movie. Bigfoot may come out.
It's never coming. Kyle, it's
may
never,
come out.
it's never coming out.
Maybe.
It's never coming.
That seems to be the curse of every film I've worked on. I've worked on like it's the only film I've worked on that actually came out to a decent release was Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Twitch streaming. We do that occasionally.
Yeah, sometimes. I got to do that.
Rarely
again.
together.
Yeah, we can start doing that together more.
We can do it through Discord.
Yeah, it was true. We could. We also have a Discord.
Oh yeah, Brian's learning what Discord is.
Yeah,
Very
I know
slowly.
how it works now. I can hop on every now and then and just like yell at somebody and then leave. I don't know.
Brian's giving suggestions.
I had a moment the other day where I was like asking what the rules were for Discord, or like I was like, can we post in one of the channels on our Discord? I was like, can we post something here? And I was like, wait a second, I'm literally God. I can do whatever I want.
I gave you admin privileges.
I know. I realized that after, and I was like, why am I asking what the rules are? I am the rules. Fuck you.
But you can check that out. It'll be down in the description.
All right, that's it. Until next time, keep watching movies.
Especially, did I say especially right?
Yeah.
Especially. I actually said it right this time. Capital Punishment.
Woo!